single parenting is hard. What if you can make it easier?
I think that would be amazing. In this video, we're going to show you what every single parent needs to know so you can reduce chaos, build respect, and create a loving environment between you and your kids.
The first thing we're going to talk about is building a schedule and a routine and just time management tips to help keep a chaos-free environment for you and your kids. Some of the ways to do this are going to be setting an earlier bedtime routine. And this just allows the kid to know exactly what their schedule is as far as setting meal times, going to bed, having homework time, and also scheduling in activities for the family so that they just kind of know what's going on. And some of the ways to do that are to teach them, how to set up a calendar. So buying them a calendar, sitting down with them, and showing them how to plan a week out, how to plan their month out. And this gives them like the control of kind of having a little bit of say so and kind of the plans for the family in some aspects.
And I've seen, like, you've done such a good job of that. I see it with your kids. You've got 3 kids. You've been a single mom doing this for a while. How did you come to that realization that you needed those schedules and routines? Did it just come to you, or do you remember how that even happened?
I think for me, it's just because I am a very routine person, and I know that if I don't know what's going on in my day and I don't plan my day out, it just feels a little chaotic. And I've seen that with kids, when they were toddlers, when they were younger, that if they didn't know what was going on, everybody's just kind of running around, not knowing what's happening next. And it just seems to stress everyone out.
I love
So
it. Well,
that's
that's
why it's
great.
important.
Yes, and you've done a great job with that. I'm a testimonial for that, just seeing coming into your life now and seeing how your kids really benefit from that schedule. So I think that's really cool. The next thing I want to talk about, our point number 2, is just seeing your kids as individuals. I think that is so important because every kid is going to be different. When you go from whether it's a tragic situation where you become a widow or a widower, or there's a divorce involved, or whatever the situation, every kid is going to take that event differently, and some of them may be able to just jump right in and help out the single parent. I look at my own situation, and I didn't get to see my son a whole lot, so what I had to do was really focus in on just understanding things from his perspective and making sure that I kept that open dialogue with him and respected the emotion that he was going through. So I think it's sometimes can be easy to just, like, if you've got multiple kids, you just figure, well, I'm just gonna lay down the law, so they're all gonna hear the same thing. But I think you've got to respect the fact that they're going to go through things differently. So that's the second point that we really wanted to emphasize, is see each of the kids as individuals and see it from their unique perspective, because they are all different.
Yes, that's really good. I have 3 kids. So for me, that has been really, really important, and just making time for each individual child to allow them just to be who they are. And it is really easy to kind of group them all together, but that is just really not healthy at all. So that's really good, Robert.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. So point number 3, we're going to talk about boundaries. Boundaries always seems like such a harsh word to me when I think about it. I think it does to a lot of people. So I think it's important to remember that boundaries are not walls, and that boundaries need to still be like permeable enough to allow to be approachable. So you can still feel approachable to your kids, for them to come to you emotionally. And but the reason that it's also important to set boundaries is because kids like to overstep them a lot. I think I've seen that with my kids lots of ways. Some of the ways that they do that, or used to do that, sometimes still do, is I know like in a conversation, when you're having a conversation with another adult or, you know, in a group or whatever, they love to come and interrupt and, you know, without saying, excuse me, or using their manners. And that is crossing a boundary. It may not seem like a boundary, but it is. It's also, you know, respect, not respecting your privacy as a parent. You know, kids sometimes tend to think that, you know, they have business and all of your business, and that is not the case.
So
And
tell
they'll
them
try
how
to
you do that. I've seen you do that a lot. You know what you
creating
actually do.
boundaries.
Well, that
Um,
specific example, when we're having a conversation and Knox or Leighton or Abby will come in, share with them specifically what you do.
um, well, I just basically say, I'm having a conversation right now. You know, I'll talk to you in a minute. You know, it's like,
Yes.
you just have to really be, you know, not say, oh, you know, not misdirect your conversation that you're having to just allow them to do it, you know, to have the conversation with you. Also, I think for me with the privacy and the respect is like, you know, coming into my bedroom without knocking, or like if I'm in the middle of something, just thinking that they can, you know, take over my time. And so, and that's just not me as a person. Like, it's everyone. Those are boundaries that everyone should have with other people, you know. So some of the ways that you can set some healthy boundaries, I think, are to be clear with your expectations. Another big thing that I've seen is like have age appropriate expectations. Don't try to expect, you know, what you, from your 7-year-old, what you do from your 16-year-old, because there's such a huge gap development wise there. So those are just some important ways to set boundaries.
Yeah, and I think that plays right into what we talked about as seeing your kids as individuals, right? The
Right.
16-year-old and the 7-year-old are going to be so different. So the next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about from a personal standpoint is just what advice would I give to other single parents? And I was in a situation where, you know, I ended up divorced and I didn't get to see my son very often. So the piece of advice that I would give people, because I struggled with this a little bit, is to put the child first. Even though I was, you know, emotionally upset and even angry that I wasn't able to see my son as much as I wanted to, I needed to put him first. And that doesn't mean I, you know, let myself get run over, so to speak. I was still persistent, and I, you know, communicated with him, and I sent him cards and, you know, emails, texts, whatever. But just very consistent, show your love to the child, no matter what's going on with the ex-spouse in that case. And then the other piece of advice I would give people is just to know, you know, like, have faith in God that your children will know your heart, you know, no matter what the circumstance, no matter what situation. Because when you're running into single parenting situations, there's crazy stuff that can happen. So just remember, you know, that you're setting the example. And for me, again, I wish I would have known God more when it first happened to me, but now the advice I would give going forward is just rely on God and the faith that your kids know your heart for them, and just turn them towards God as much as you can.
That's awesome. I love that.
Oh, all right. So what I want you to do, you all, is subscribe with the notification bell to receive regular updates.
And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button to see more just like it.
And then comment below if you have questions or answers to questions or anything that's on your mind. Give us a comment. We'll respond.
And we will see you next time on the journey from isolation to community.